I'm Katy Auker with the Stephen Sondheim Society, and I'm here in New York with the man himself, Stephen Sondheim. So you had your 80th birthday last year.
I did indeed.
There were so many brilliant shows and concerts to celebrate. What was the highlight for you?
Oh gosh, there were two really. I'd never been to a Proms concert, so that was a thrill for me on two levels. That building itself, and then the atmosphere, and then the concert itself. And then the one at the New York Philharmonic was pretty spectacular. But the massed voices at the very end came in singing together. That was terrific. And I suppose the other one was, having a theater named after me. That was also a highlight. So I had a lot of them.
Oh, good. Well, and there were lots of revivals of your shows, and
a few.
Yeah, certainly lots in London that we saw. And you've got Roadshow in London at the moment. So what's more exciting for you and more satisfying, to launching a new show or reviving one?
Oh no, it's always much more fun to launch a new one. I just haven't written one in a while. Although Roadshow is essentially a new show as of 2 years ago. It really is. I mean, it's been 14 years in the cooking, but it's morphed from what it originally was into something quite different. So in a sense, it's a new show.
When you're writing a new show, do you have like a 9 to 5, composing routine?
No, I write to deadlines. I try to have a regular work day. I used to write at night, but the older I get, the harder it gets to write at night. So it really has to do with if something is due on Tuesday. It's a holdover from college days. If something's due on Tuesday, I get to work Monday night. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but I mean, but like many writers, I accelerate as I get closer to the deadline. But some of the people I've worked with are 9 to 5. Arthur Lawrence was that way. Oscar Hammerstein was a 9 to 5 writer. I don't think Arthur ever wrote after 5:30 in the afternoon, except maybe out of town. But I'll write at any time, and it all has to do with feelings of guilt towards my collaborator.
And do you compose at the piano? Or?
Compose at the piano and also on the couch where I work. The problem with composing at a piano is you get limited by your own technique, and one technique is okay, but it's nothing special. Also, muscle memory happens. Your fingers fall into the same pattern, so you tend to write the same chords and even melodic progressions sometimes, or figurations certainly, that you've written before. So it's harder to write away from the piano, but I try as much as I can.
Do you, how closely do you work with your orchestrators?
I don't write with the orchestrator at all. The orchestrator doesn't come into the picture until you're about a few weeks away from rehearsal. You have conferences with him about the makeup of the orchestra. But what happens with Jonathan Chinick, whom I work with most of the time, is when I've done about 6 songs, I will play them for him and tape record them. And he gets ideas for orchestration from the way I play them, from the attack and from various nuances and rallentandas and all kinds of things that make them personal, that are slightly different in tone or approach than what's on paper. Then he makes up the orchestra, and then he comes down to each rehearsal where we have a number for him to see, and then he looks at the number, and then he and I go off in the room and we discuss the orchestration in some detail. I know very little about orchestration, but he will say to me, look, there are 4 parts here, and there are only 3 parts here in this bar. Do you see this line going to that part, or do you see this line coming up to that part? And since I do know what I want, when you write piano copy, you don't put necessarily a stem up and a stem down to show that 2 lines converge on one note. So it's left to him to ask me that kind of thing. But he makes all the decisions in terms of individual colors, and certainly make up the orchestra, but the whole tone of the orchestra. But he's very sensitive to what kind of score any composer's writing. He is, as I've said many times, the best orchestrator in the history of the American musical theater, because he combines skill, which a lot of orchestrators have, with an acute sense of what the theater's about. Michael Starobin is pretty much the same way.
What do you think about translations of your shows?
Well, I don't know enough. I don't know a lot of foreign languages, smattering of the Romance languages. But I generally, usually know somebody in each country where it's being translated. It's either somebody in the business or a friend of a friend, and have them check the translations. When it gets to, when you get into very strange languages like Finnish or Japanese, where there are a lot of syllables or where the whole idea of rhyme is slightly different, it becomes problematical. But I figure if the audience is understanding what the story is, that's all that's necessary.
Okay, and it's nearly the 20th anniversary of the Stephen Sondheim Society. Do you have a message for the Stephen Sondheim
Just
Society?
thank you for sticking around for 20 years. That's really nice.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.